So we have these stories coming out, like the one in the Weekly Standard talking about, oh my goodness, we're going to lose marine protection for the United States. Then the Department of Justice comes out, and again, we're talking about the sequester problem. Holder comes out to ABC News and says, homegrown terrorist threat rivals our overseas threat. Yeah. That should send a shiver down your spine, because what he's talking about is you. Let's read this article. After a few years of security briefings and thwarting terrorist plots, national security still keeps Eric Holder awake at night. I still worry at night, says U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder. I'm concerned about whether or not we have done all that we can do to ensure that every threat has been adequately examined, that we put up our defenses in appropriate ways. So yeah, I still go to bed worried at night. Core al-Qaeda doesn't have the capacity that it once did. Yeah, but it metastasized in a number of ways. We now worry that the nodes of al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, al-Qaeda now in Africa, al-Qaeda now in Iraq, and the threat is more widespread in terms of where those people are and who those significant people are. That's how it's different now. But then he continues, I worry a little that the American people, from the general population, have become a little complacent, that we don't understand and realize that the threats are still real, that the danger is still out there, it is tangible, and that we still have to be vigilant in what we do. It is a very serious threat. I think what it says is that the scope, our scope, has to be broadened. We can't think like we just are a bunch of people in caves in some part of the world. We have to be concerned about the homeland to the same extent we are worried about the threat coming from overseas. So he is suggesting that all this money that we've spent, think about this for a second, all the billions and billions and billions of dollars we have spent hunting terrorists overseas. He is suggesting that all of that is not as large as the threat that's here. Well, let's just step outside, pretend we're from another nation just looking into America. What would that mean to you? If a leader of a nation said, yep, see all that money and see all the resources and see all the boots on the ground we have over there trying to hunt out and stomp out a threat? Yes, we do. Well, the threat is larger in our homeland. What would you naturally think? Well, then the boots should come to the homeland and stomp out the threat. Now, I'm not saying I'm agreeing with it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that would be the natural conclusion to the conversation. Yep, you're spending all that resource over there hunting down terrorists. And if your Department of Justice is saying it's a larger threat here at home, well, then it just makes sense. And that should scare the bejeebies out of all of us. Your Attorney General thinks a homeland threat is larger than a foreign one. Which, in many cases, he could be right, because a lot of the foreign ones are of our own creation anyway. But it still leads to a very, very, very dangerous place. And along with that, again to ABC, he also sounded the sequester alarm. And that looming budget sequestration will make all Americans less safe, Eric Holder says. And anyone who says otherwise isn't telling the truth, says this article by Chris Good. Anybody who doesn't say that it is, well, they're not telling the truth. This is what he said again, Eric Holder. This is something that is going to have an impact on the safety of this country. If we know it's going to, he didn't say might, he didn't say may, he said it's going to have an impact on the safety of this country. One, and this is what I brought up before we had Joe call in, why would you broadcast that? I mean, for goodness sakes, even North Korea knows to put up a fake strong front to the world. So you're obviously doing it for some payout, some benefit. And what's the benefit? Well, the benefit to them is to make you scared. They want you so afraid that ABC News, the Department of Justice, the Department of Homeland Security is warning everybody today that starting tomorrow, we're all in danger. Even though all we're really doing is going back to 2009 spending levels. And if the nation really worried about this, think about this for a second. If you really thought the country was going to be under attack, if you really thought this made us more dangerous, then what would responsible leadership do? Responsible leadership would say, okay, we're going to cut the endowment for the arts today. We're going to take that money and divert it to securing our nation. We're going to cut the Parks Department today. They're suffering a furlough. Every park ranger has off today. That money is going to defending this nation. We're cutting off oil subsidies today. All of that money is going to defending the nation too. So whenever they tell you, well, this is going to make us more dangerous, it is them allowing you to become endangered. Don't let that slip by in the significance of the conversation that they're trying to have regarding this issue. There is no reason that if they truly believed this, that they couldn't cut other funding immediately. It is extremely, extremely important to understand it is inside their power to do so. There are so many organizations and entities that operate under the executive branch of the government, under their own control, that they could easily divert those funds today. And even if, they're saying this might last until April or May, so you shut it down until April or May. If, of course, you really believe that the nation is in that big of a threat from an outside attack. And see, this is why logic and reason serve us so well. Because you don't have to argue this from a Democrat standpoint, a Republican standpoint. You can sit back, use logic, reason, and strategy and say, wait a second, genius. You're either telling us this to get us scared, and then we ask, oh, please come and protect us. Oh, my goodness, we're so scared. Or to get us fighting with our neighbor. Well, if it wasn't your stupid Democrat candidate, if it wasn't your stupid Republican candidate. And they know this. They're not stupid. They know they're playing a political game with your life. If they really believe that we're in more danger now, well, starting tomorrow morning, if they really believe we're in more danger tomorrow morning because of this, and yet they're broadcasting it to the world, they're playing Russian roulette with your life. Is that responsible leadership? Is that the sort of people you want in Washington, D.C.? Is that the sort of person that you even want around your children? And the answer is obviously no. And interestingly enough, through this whole thing, while they're telling us, well, you're going to be endangered, they're also telling us, don't buy a gun to protect yourself when you're endangered. Yeah, I know. Isn't that kind of stupid? If you really thought we were in danger, you would say, okay, everybody, we can't afford to protect the country, so everybody arm up. That would be the responsible thing to say, but is that what they're saying? No. No, they're saying, hey, you know what? Well, we can't protect you, and we're going to be at risk. We're going to be in danger, and best of luck to you. Should have voted for somebody else. We'll be back right after this.